Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Zamboni Talk. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a subject that's pressing, that's come up lately, and that I think is really going to help everybody out here. But before we get started, I just wanted to thank you all so much for joining me today, for joining me on this tremendous journey we have going with this channel. And if you haven't yet, all I ask is that you please like and subscribe, right? That's all I ask. So, in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is when you frame your mind to start to believe that there's either success or there's lessons, no problems, it starts to change your perception so greatly about everything, right? It really, really does. So, what I mean by that, and I'll get into a bit of an example, a bit of a story here today. So, one of the rental properties I have, I had a tenant calling me today about a serious issue with the washing machine, right? They couldn't wash their clothes, things were happening, clothes were shrinking, stuff wasn't washing properly, and they were not in the best mood. I think some other stuff was going on in their life as well, right? So, I was on a roll. I had a good day at my other job. I played a good hockey game this morning. I was on a roll. My investments were doing well. I was really catching traction in a lot of areas of my life, right? So I called them back this morning and I said, okay, I'll be there in the afternoon and we'll get to work. Well, So the mindset that I went into this situation with is that there's no such thing as problems, right? I could have looked at this and dreaded this. And even the tenant said to me, he said, he's a really good guy and we get along really well. And he said, oh, this is the tough part about being a landlord. You got to respond to stuff like this. And then I said, that's one frame of mind. That's one mindset you can go into this with. The mindset I go into this situation with is that I look at this as a lesson, right? I get to learn. I'm so incredibly blessed that I get to go into here and I get the opportunity to learn what is going on here. So I went in with that mindset that, either I'm going to succeed here or I'm going to learn. There's no such thing as a problem or failing because I'm not going to give up on anything, right? Failing is only when you really give up on something. So either I'm going to figure out what's going on here or I'm going to learn. And that's exactly what happened. That's the mindset I went into it with. I went in, I diagnosed the best I could. I mean, I'm pretty handy with tools, I'm all right. But I went in, never done anything like this before. I went in, I diagnosed, I realized some lines were hooked up. Some lines weren't hooked up properly. So I went in, I took some covers off, and I succeeded to get the washing machine working properly again. And I know a lot of people listening might think, oh, whatever, this is just a washing machine, not a big deal. But what I realized from this whole situation is that if I went into that situation all worked up, all upset, and everything else like that, I don't think I would have been able to accomplish the task because I wouldn't have been able to diagnose and troubleshoot with the calmness that I needed to get the situation under control. So when I framed it, that I went into the situation and I knew that there's no losing here. Either I'm going to figure this out or I'm going to learn. When you start to go in with that mindset, there's really nothing wrong that can happen, right? There's nothing I can't handle there, right? So that's what I really wanted to get across here. And that's the mindset I'm bringing into all aspects of life, whether that's work situations. As my main job as a first responder, I get calls about situations that I get nervous about sometimes, right? And I think, maybe this is something I've never dealt with before, or this is nerve-wracking, or I don't know how I'm going to handle this. And that's no longer the mindset I'm approaching any situation with. I'm going in, I'm figuring stuff out, and I am approaching it as either I'm going to do this or I'm going to learn, right? And then I'm going to become better, I'm going to become stronger from it. That's it. That's the mindset you have to go in with everywhere with. And I can't believe that I didn't realize this earlier in my life, because I would get so worked up about stuff when I was younger. And I would just, there's certain situations that would take hold of me and I would become a bit of like a train wreck sort of thing, right? But this is what I've learned, is that to be that person that you look up to, that idol, that somebody that commands the room, and somebody that I talk about in all the other videos, that cannot be the case, right? Because now my tenant, he comes in with, you know what? He handled that with calmness. He got in, figured out the situation, got out with minimal disruptions, right? And that's what people want in their life. They want people that get it, right? Whether that's a relationship, whether that's any aspect, whether you're running a business, or really anything else in life, that is the stoicism and the calmness and the reassurance that you have to go in with, because that is the only way you are going to get what you need and succeed in life, right? That is literally the only way. And I hope you all can figure this out and practice this on a daily basis, right? So, and when you do something like this and you figure something out, whether it's something so small like this or something on a much larger scale, you start to feel so much better about yourself and get the motivation and drive that you need on a daily basis to really succeed, right? And that's what life is all about, right? Because that momentum, if you can string together a positive day after a positive day, an effective day after an effective day, and you do what you need to, when you start to string those together, you start to become absolutely unstoppable, right? Absolutely unstoppable. And in this generation, and I hate to say that it's a softer generation, because I hate when people online are always saying that, right? That this generation is soft, the generation of men is soft, or just people in general are just, they don't want to work, they're soft. I hate to say that. But in today's era, where it has been glorified for years to not work hard, to not grind, to not command a presence, you have to do that to be able to succeed, and the world needs that. They need that desperately, right? Because not everybody can be that, right? And I completely understand that, because not everybody can be a certain personality type. But if you are that type that wants to succeed and get to where you want to get to and command a room and have things that are beneficial that others want in this hyper-competitive world, you have to be able to do that, right? You have to be able to do it. And now I love that, because now I've changed my mindset to, I used to be, like, especially with owning rental properties, I used to be so afraid of the stuff that would happen, right? I used to be terrified about, what if there's a flood here? What if there's a fire? What if, somebody breaks in? What if my tenant leaves? What if, there's a countless number of things that could happen. And I start to think now, there's a part of my mind that's making me afraid of that, because of what I've been programmed, the way I've been programmed to think of fear my whole life and to avoid it, like biologically. But when I start to frame myself to think that, you know what, if something does happen like that, it's a lesson for me. It's a lesson, and I will be that much better, and I will have the knowledge and wherewithal to know what will happen in that situation, because majority of the people in the world have never been through anything like that, right? If I can get through something like that and get to the other side, that is so incredibly beneficial. And another thing that happened to me that really started to get rid of my fear is that I think this is one of the best things that ever happened to me, is in the year 2022, I had a very sizable brokerage account of stocks, investments, and it got crushed by 50%. half, right? Think about that. Like, think about if all your wealth goes down by 50%. And I had to look at that every day. I'd wake up and see my net worth and not my income, but my net worth and my assets down 50%, right? And if you can get through that and not do anything crazy, because I knew that my companies that I held were doing really well, it was just the market being irrational with, this is not really an economics channel, but to do with interest rates and all the fear that was out there. It just got to a point that was so unbelievable that when I say in other videos too that you have to walk into the pain, that pain that I felt was absolutely unbelievable. Like a year, 2 years salary just gone like that, 50%. What would most people do in that situation? Majority of people would fold, because every time I told somebody that, they said, you know what, you got to get out now. Now's the time to get out. Now's the time to get out. This is crazy. You're losing so much money by the day. Get out while you still have anything. That's what people are saying to me on a daily basis. Loved ones, family, everything, right? But right when people say that, I know that is the time to double down on what I believe in, right? And what has happened now since that day? I've doubled it from where I started. I've doubled my account from where I started before that crash, right? Because I was buying, I was walking into the fire. I was doing things that nobody else wanted to do. And it's not because I'm, some genius and I had all this inside information or anything like that. It's just that I was able to push the fear to the back of my mind and realize that, you know what, I made some mistakes here, but these are lessons. These are not failures. These are lessons, right? And I'm so fortunate that I was able to get through that and to able to go through that. Because how many other people in your life do you know that their brokerage, their account went down by 50% and they were able to make it to the other side and they kept buying during that, right? You have to be crazy to do that. And maybe I am crazy, but that's what I believe now. And I'm so blessed to be able to have that power, because I feel like when I'm out in the world now, it's almost like a superpower, right? Because when you go in with that mindset, nothing can bring you down. Something just bounces off you, sure. Bring it on, let's go. Bounce it off and let's go. And that's it, right? And that's it. So that's really all I want to talk about. I went on a bit of a rant at the end of this video, but I'm really trying to speak my mind on this channel now and get my message out, because that's what it's for. And once again, I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for everybody that watched this video, and I hope that you enjoyed it and that you took something from it, even just one little lesson, something that entertained you, or a little bit of escape from your day, whatever it may be. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. See you in the next video.